There is a quiet power in the way we see each other, in the way a single word spoken with sincerity can change the course of a day, a year, a life. Imagine, for a moment, the last time someone truly saw you, not for what you could do for them, not for the mask you wear in the world, but for the light that flickers behind your eyes. Maybe it was a teacher who noticed your effort when no one else did. Maybe it was a friend who, in a moment of your deepest doubt, reminded you of your worth. Or perhaps it was a stranger, a passing smile, a nod of recognition that said, "I see you, you matter." We live in a world that is hungry for recognition, yet starved for sincerity. Every day we scroll through endless feeds, chasing likes, hearts, and fleeting approval. But deep down, what we crave is not applause but appreciation, not empty praise, but the kind of acknowledgement that roots itself in truth and grows into something lasting. Dale Carnegie understood this. He saw that the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important, to be valued, to be appreciated. Not for our titles or our trophies, but for the quiet, often invisible, contributions we make to the lives around us. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who in the darkest hours of his presidency would write letters of gratitude to his generals, his cabinet, even his critics. He knew that honest appreciation could move mountains, could inspire men to rise above their fears and doubts. He knew that to lead was not to command, but to recognize the best in others and call it forth. And so must we, if we wish to lead, not just in boardrooms or on stages, but in the sacred, everyday theater of our lives. But what does it mean to give honest and sincere appreciation? It is not flattery. Flattery is cheap, a counterfeit coin that buys nothing but suspicion. Sincere appreciation, on the other hand, is rare and precious. It is the art of seeing, of listening, of noticing the good in others and naming it aloud. It is the courage to speak gratitude, even when the world is silent. It is the humility to recognize that every person you meet is fighting a battle you cannot see, and that your words may be the only light they find today. There is a story of Eleanor Roosevelt, who despite her own struggles with insecurity and criticism, made it her mission to find something good in everyone she met. She would write notes of thanks to White House staff, to journalists, to political opponents. She understood that appreciation is not a strategy, but a way of being, a daily practice of looking for the gold in others, even when it is buried deep. You have this power too. The power to lift someone's spirit with a word, a gesture, a moment of genuine attention. The power to see what others overlook, to name what others ignore. When you give honest and sincere appreciation, you become a mirror in which others can see their own potential, their own beauty, their own strength. You become a builder of confidence, a cultivator of courage, a quiet architect of hope. But to give this kind of appreciation, you must first slow down. You must learn to listen, not just to words but to silences, to the stories that live between the lines. You must train your heart to notice the small victories, the hidden efforts, the quiet acts of kindness that so often go unrecognized. It is easy to praise the obvious, the loud, the spectacular, but the real gift is in seeing the unnoticed, the uncelebrated, the everyday heroism that keeps the world turning. Consider the story of Nelson Mandela, who after decades of imprisonment, emerged not with bitterness, but with gratitude for those who had shown him kindness in the darkest of places. He remembered the guard who smuggled him extra bread, the fellow prisoner who shared a word of encouragement. Mandela knew that appreciation is not just a gift to others, but a balm for our own wounds. When we recognize the good in others, we remind ourselves that goodness still exists, even in the hardest of times. So I ask you, who in your life needs to be seen today? Who has labored in silence, hoping for a word of thanks, a nod of recognition? Who has given their best, not for reward but for the quiet satisfaction of a job well done? Maybe it is a colleague who stays late to help, a friend who listens without judgment, a family member who loves you in ways you have never fully acknowledged. Maybe it is a stranger, a barista, a bus driver, a neighbor whose name you do not know, but whose presence makes your world a little brighter. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for grand gestures or special occasions. Appreciation, to be powerful, must be timely, specific, and sincere. It must come from the heart, unbidden and unforced. It must be given freely, without expectation of return. When you see something good, say it. When you notice effort, acknowledge it. When you feel gratitude, express it. These are the seeds of connection, the roots of trust, the foundation of all true influence. And as you practice this art, you will find that the world begins to change. Not in sudden, dramatic ways, but in the quiet unfolding of relationships, the deepening of trust, the blossoming of potential. You will find that people are drawn to you, not because you flatter them, but because you see them. You will find that your words carry weight, that your presence brings comfort, that your leadership inspires loyalty and love. This is the secret that Dale Carnegie knew, that Lincoln practiced, that Eleanor Roosevelt embodied. The greatest leaders are not those who demand attention, but those who give it. Not those who seek praise, but those who offer it. Not those who stand above, but those who stand beside. When you give honest and sincere appreciation, you become a force for good in a world that desperately needs it. You become a light in the darkness, a voice of hope, a builder of bridges where others see only walls. So let your words be generous. Let your heart be open. Let your appreciation be the gift that lifts others, and in lifting them, lifts you as well. For in the end, we are remembered not for what we have, but for what we give. Not for the applause we receive, but for the appreciation we offer. And in that giving, we find our truest strength, our deepest joy, our highest calling. There is a difference, subtle yet profound, between the words that fill the air and the words that fill the heart. The world is awash in compliments, in the easy currency of flattery, but how rarely do we encounter the kind of praise that lingers, that roots itself in memory and shapes the way we see ourselves. Flattery is a mask, a performance, a transaction. It is the art of saying what another wants to hear, not what is true. It is a shadow that vanishes in the light of scrutiny, leaving behind only the hollow echo of manipulation. But appreciation, real, honest, sincere appreciation, is a different language altogether. It is the language of the soul, spoken not to impress, but to uplift. It is the recognition of effort, of character, of the small, invisible acts that make life richer for everyone they touch. When you give this kind of appreciation, you are not trading in empty words. You are investing in the spirit of another human being. You are saying, I see you, I value you, what you do matters. Think of the people who have shaped your life, not the ones who flattered you, but the ones who believed in you. The teacher who saw your potential when you could not, the mentor who named your strengths when you doubted them, the friend who, in a moment of darkness, reminded you of your light. Their words did not inflate your ego. They fortified your spirit. They did not seek to gain your favor. They sought to give you courage. Dale Carnegie warned us of the dangers of flattery. He called it cheap praise, a counterfeit that buys nothing but suspicion and resentment. People are not fools. They know when they are being manipulated. They know when words are spoken to curry favor, rather than to honor truth. Flattery may win a moment, but it loses the soul. It may open a door, but it closes the heart. Sincere appreciation, on the other hand, is never forgotten. It is the note of thanks that is kept in a drawer for years, the compliment that is repeated to friends and family, the encouragement that becomes a turning point in someone's journey. It is the invisible thread that binds us together, that turns strangers into allies, colleagues into collaborators, families into havens of trust. There is a story of a young man struggling in his first job, overwhelmed by the weight of expectation and the fear of failure. He made mistakes, as all beginners do, and braced himself for criticism. But instead, his manager called him aside and said, I see how hard you're trying. I notice the effort you put in, even when things don't go as planned. That matters to me. Keep going. Those words did not erase the mistakes, but they transformed the young man's sense of himself. He worked harder, learned faster, and grew into a leader. Not because he was flattered, but because he was. This is the power you hold, every day in every interaction. The power to choose your words with care, to make them a gift rather than a weapon, to use them not to manipulate, but to motivate. When you offer appreciation, let it be specific. Name the effort, the quality, the choice that moved you. You did a good job is pleasant, but I admire the patience you showed with that difficult customer is unforgettable. You're talented is nice, but your creativity in solving that problem inspired the whole team is transformative. And let your appreciation be timely. Do not wait for the annual review, the birthday, the farewell party. Appreciation, to be powerful, must be woven into the fabric of daily life. It must be as natural as breathing, as constant as the sunrise. When you see something good, say it. When you feel gratitude, express it. When you notice growth, celebrate it. These are the moments that build trust, that deepen connection, that turn ordinary days into extraordinary memories. In a world that often measures worth by achievement, by status, by the fleeting applause of the crowd, be the one who measures worth by character, by effort, by the quiet contributions that go unseen. Be the one who notices, who names, who honors the good in others. For in doing so, you not only lift them, you lift yourself. You become a source of light, a wellspring of hope, a leader in the truest sense. And as you walk this path, you will find that appreciation is not a finite resource. The more you give, the more you have. The more you notice, the more there is to notice. The more you honor the good in others, the more good you discover in yourself. This is the paradox of appreciation. It multiplies as it is shared. It deepens as it is practiced. It transforms not only those who receive it, but those who give it. So let your words be generous, your heart be open, your appreciation be the thread that weaves connection and meaning into every day. For in the end, it is not the grand gestures or the public accolades that define us, but the quiet moments of recognition, the sincere words of thanks, the honest praise that says you matter, you are seen, you are enough. There is an art to noticing, a discipline of attention that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most people move through life half awake, their eyes glazed by routine, their hearts dulled by the noise of daily demands. They see, but they do not observe. They hear, but they do not listen. Yet, in every moment there are miracles unfolding. Acts of kindness, flashes of creativity, quiet sacrifices that go unheralded. The world is full of people doing their best, hoping someone will notice, longing for a sign that their efforts are not in vain. To notice is to awaken. It is to step out of the fog of self-absorption and into the clear light of presence. It is to look beyond the surface, to see the story behind the smile, the struggle behind the success, the humanity behind the habit. When you cultivate the art of noticing, you become a witness to the beauty and bravery that others so often hide. You become a collector of moments, a connoisseur of character, a seeker of the good that lives quietly in every soul. Think of the leaders who have left a mark on history, not because they commanded armies or built empires, but because they noticed what others overlooked. Nelson Mandela, in the bleakness of Robben Island, noticed the dignity in his fellow prisoners, the small acts of resistance that kept hope alive. He saw the humanity in his jailers even as they tried to break his spirit. His ability to notice, to recognize, to appreciate became a source of strength, not only for himself but for an entire nation. Or consider the story of a mother exhausted by the endless demands of work and family, who finds a note on her pillow, "Thank you for always being there, even when you're tired. I see how much you do for us." That note, simple and sincere, becomes a lifeline, a reminder that her sacrifices are seen, her love is valued, her presence is a gift. In that moment, she is renewed, her spirit lifted by the power of being noticed. This is not magic. It is mindfulness. It is the choice to pay attention, to look for the good, to name it aloud. It is the discipline of seeing people as they are, not as we wish them to be. It is the humility to recognize that everyone you meet is carrying a burden, fighting a battle, dreaming a dream. When you notice the effort, the kindness, the courage in others, you give them a mirror in which to see their own work. But noticing is only the beginning. To truly give appreciation, you must move from observation to expression. You must find the words that turn recognition into revelation. It is not enough to see, you must say. It is not enough to feel gratitude. You must give it voice. This is where courage comes in. The courage to speak from the heart, to risk vulnerability, to offer praise without reservation or agenda. There is a story told of a young woman new to her job who worked late into the night to finish a project. Her manager, busy and distracted, barely glanced at her work. Weeks passed and the woman's enthusiasm faded. Then one day, a colleague stopped by her desk and said, "I noticed how much effort you put into that project. It made a real difference." Those words, simple and sincere, reignited her passion. She felt seen, valued, inspired to give her best once more. This is the ripple effect of appreciation. One word, one gesture, one moment of recognition can change the trajectory of a life. It can turn apathy into engagement, doubt into confidence, isolation into belonging. It can transform workplaces, families, communities. It can heal wounds, bridge divides, build trust where none existed before. But to wield this power, you must be intentional. You must make it a habit to notice, to name, to nurture the good in others. You must resist the temptation to take people for granted, to assume that effort is its own reward. You must remember that everyone, no matter how strong or successful, needs to be seen, needs to be valued, needs to be appreciated. And as you practice this art, you will find that your own life is enriched. You will see beauty where others see only routine. You will find meaning in the mundane, joy in the ordinary, connection in the everyday. You will become a source of encouragement, a wellspring of hope, a leader who inspires not by command but by recognition. For in the end, the art of noticing is the art of living. It is the choice to be awake, to be present, to be fully human. It is the path to deeper relationships, greater influence, and a life that leaves a legacy of love. There is a mysterious echo in every word of appreciation we give. It reverberates not just in the moment but across the days and years, shaping the way a person sees themselves in the world. When you offer genuine recognition, you are not merely acknowledging a deed. You are planting a seed in the soil of someone's identity. That seed, nurtured by your words, can grow into confidence, resilience, and a sense of belonging that endures long after the applause has faded. Consider the child who hears, "You are so thoughtful. The way you helped your friend today showed real kindness." That child carries those words like a talisman, a quiet assurance that their actions matter. In moments of doubt, they remember. In moments of fear, they draw strength. The echo of appreciation becomes a guiding voice, whispering, "You are capable. You are good. You are enough." Or think of the employee who, after months of diligent work, receives a note from their leader. Your attention to detail and your commitment to excellence have elevated our whole team. That recognition is more than a compliment. It is an affirmation of value, a validation of effort. It transforms routine into purpose, obligation into opportunity. The employee stands a little taller, speaks with more conviction, dares to dream a little bigger. The echo of appreciation becomes the soundtrack of their ambition. This is not mere sentimentality. It is studies show that sincere recognition activates the same regions of the brain as financial rewards. It releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation and pleasure. It strengthens neural pathways associated with self-worth and optimism. In other words, appreciation is not just a social nicety. It is a force that rewires the mind, that shapes the very architecture of hope. But the echo of appreciation is not limited to those who receive it. It transforms the giver as well. When you make it your mission to notice and name the good in others, you train your mind to see abundance rather than scarcity, possibility rather than limitation. You become attuned to the beauty in the world, the potential in people, the opportunities in every challenge. You become a creator of culture, a catalyst for growth, a leader who inspires greatness by recognizing it. There is a story of a young man lost in the maze of self-doubt who found his way because someone believed in him. A coach who said, "I see something special in you. You have a gift." Those words became a compass, guiding him through storms of uncertainty, anchoring him in moments of fear. He went on to achieve things he never thought possible. Not because he was told he was perfect, but because he was seen, appreciated, encouraged to become more key. We all have this power, the power to shape destinies with our words, to build bridges with our recognition, to change the trajectory of a life with a single sincere expression of appreciation. It does not require wealth or status or authority. It requires only the willingness to see, the courage to speak, the humility to give without expectation. And yet, how often do we withhold this gift? How often do we assume that others know their value, that our gratitude is understood, that our appreciation is implied? How often do we let the busyness of life crowd out the moments that matter most? The truth is, unspoken appreciation is a song unsung, a light unlit, a gift ungiven. It is a missed opportunity to make a difference, to leave a mark, to be remembered not for what we achieved, but for how we made others feel. So let your appreciation be loud, be clear, be unmistakable. Let it echo in the halls of your home, the corridors of your workplace, the hearts of your friends and family. Let it be the legacy you leave, the story you write, the difference you make. For in the end, it is not the monuments we build or the fortunes we amass that endure, but the lives we touch, the spirits we lift, the hope we inspire. And as you give this gift, you will find that the echo returns to you, multiplied and magnified. You will find that your own sense of purpose deepens, your relationships grow richer, your influence expands. You will find that in lifting others you rise as well. This is the secret of appreciation. It is both a gift and a reward, a blessing given and received, a force that shapes not only identity but destiny. Trust is the invisible bridge that connects one soul to another. It is built not in grand gestures but in the quiet moments when we feel truly understood, valued, and safe. At the heart of this bridge lies empathy, the ability to step into another's world, to see through their eyes, to feel with their heart. And one of the most powerful ways to express empathy is through genuine praise, given not to manipulate but to honor the truth of another's experience. When you offer appreciation that is rooted in empathy, you are saying, I see you. Not just your actions, but your intentions, your struggles, your hopes. You are acknowledging the effort behind the outcome, the courage behind the choice, the humanity behind the achievement. This kind of praise is not transactional. It is transformational. It does not seek to extract, but to enrich. It does not demand loyalty, but inspires it. Think of the leaders who have earned unwavering trust, not because they were perfect, but because they were present. They noticed the late nights, the extra mile, the quiet sacrifices. They named the good, even when results fell short. They praised the process, not just the product. In doing so, they created a culture where people felt safe to take risks, to speak up, to bring their whole selves to the table. Consider the story of a young woman, new to her team, uncertain of her place. She made mistakes, as all learners do, and braced herself for criticism. But her leader, instead of focusing on what went wrong, highlighted what went right. I appreciate your willingness to try, your openness to feedback, your resilience in the face of setbacks. Those words became a lifeline, a foundation of trust upon which she built her confidence in her career. Empathy and appreciation is not about ignoring flaws or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about seeing the whole person, their strengths and their struggles, their victories and their vulnerabilities. It is about honoring the journey, not just the destination. When you praise with empathy, you invite others to be real, to be brave, to be better. You create a space where growth is possible, where mistakes are not fatal, where learning is celebrated. But empathy requires presence. It requires you to slow down, to listen deeply, to notice what is not said. It requires you to put aside your own agenda, your own judgments, your own need to be right. It asks you to be curious, to ask questions, to seek understanding. What's the hardest part of this for you? What are you most proud of? How can I support you? These are the questions that open doors, that build bridges, that turn colleagues into collaborators, strangers into friends. And as you practice this kind of appreciation, you will find that trust grows not just in others, but in yourself. You will become more attuned to your own strengths, more compassionate with your own shortcomings, more confident in your own ability to make a difference. You will discover that empathy is not a weakness, but a superpower. The key to influence, the foundation of leadership, the heart of all true connection. For in the end, the bridge of empathy is built one word at a time, one gesture at a time, one moment of genuine praise at a time. It is built in the daily practice of noticing, naming, and nurturing the good in others. It is built in the willingness to see, to understand, to appreciate, not for what someone can do for you, but for who they are. And as you walk this bridge, as you invite others to join you, you will find that the world becomes a little smaller, a little kinder, a little more connected. You will find that trust is not a destination, but a journey that begins with a single sincere word of appreciation. There is a paradox at the heart of all true confidence. It is born not from the need to be seen as superior, but from the willingness to lift others up. The world often teaches us to compete, to compare, to guard our praise as if it were a finite resource. But the wisest among us know that humility is not the absence of confidence. It is its foundation. When you give honest and sincere appreciation, you are not diminishing your own worth. You are multiplying it. You are saying, I am secure enough in myself to celebrate you. Think of the leaders who have left a legacy not of domination, but of inspiration. Abraham Lincoln, in the midst of civil war, would deflect praise from himself and shine it on his generals, his soldiers, even his adversaries. He understood that greatness is not a solo act, but a symphony. He knew that to give credit is to build confidence, not just in others, but in oneself. For when you recognize the good in those around you, you are reminded of the abundance that surrounds you, the strength that comes from unity, the power that grows from humility. Humility is not self-effacement. It is not shrinking or hiding or pretending that you have nothing to offer. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your value and the value of others. It is the courage to say, I could not have done this alone. It is the wisdom to see that every success is a tapestry woven from many hands, many hearts, many minds. When you give appreciation from a place of humility, You create a culture where people are free to shine. You remove the fear of envy, the shadow of rivalry, the poison of resentment. You make it safe for others to excel, to innovate, to lead. You become a magnet for talent, a beacon for collaboration, a catalyst for growth. Consider the story of a team struggling under the weight of impossible deadlines and mounting pressure. Their leader, instead of hoarding credit or assigning blame, made it a daily practice to recognize each person's contribution. This idea came from you. That breakthrough was your doing. We succeeded because of your effort. The team, once fractured by stress, became united by trust. They worked harder, dreamed bigger, reached higher. Not because they feared failure, but because they felt valued. This is the paradox of giving credit. The more you give, the more you have. The more you celebrate others, the more reasons you find to celebrate. The more you lift others, the higher you rise. Humility is not a weakness. It is a wellspring of strength. It is the soil in which confidence grows, the foundation upon which all true leadership is built. But humility requires vigilance. It is easy to slip into the habits of self-promotion, to seek validation in the applause of others, to measure worth by comparison. It is easy to forget that every achievement is a collaboration, every victory a shared triumph. Humility asks us to remember the teachers who guided us, the friends who encouraged us, the strangers who believed in us, when we could not believe in ourselves. And as you practice this kind of appreciation, you will find that your own confidence deepens. You will become less concerned with proving yourself and more interested in improving yourself and those around you. You will discover that the greatest joy is not in being recognized, but in recognizing the good in others. You will find that humility is not a burden, but a blessing, a source of peace, of purpose, of quiet power. For in the end, confidence and humility are not opposites, but partners. They dance together in the hearts of those who lead with love, who influence with integrity, who win not by conquering but by connecting. When you give honest and sincere appreciation, you embody this paradox. You become a force for good, a builder of confidence, a leader who leaves a legacy not of ego, but of encouragement. True influence is not the art of bending others to your will, but the gift of helping them see their own strength. It is not about persuasion through force or cleverness, but about understanding deeply, patiently, without agenda. When you give honest and sincere appreciation, you are not just offering praise, you are offering understanding. You are saying, I see you, not just what you do, but who you are becoming. There is a quiet power in being understood. It is the power that turns resistance into openness, suspicion into trust, indifference into engagement. When people feel seen, they lower their guard. They listen, not because they are compelled, but because they are respected. They are willing to follow, not out of obligation, but out of inspiration. Think of the great communicators of history, those who moved nations, healed divisions, changed the course of lives. They did not command with volume or authority alone. They listened. They asked questions. They sought to understand before seeking to be understood. Nelson Mandela, in the face of unimaginable adversity, made it his mission to understand his adversaries, to find common ground, to recognize the humanity in those who opposed him. His influence was not born of dominance, but of deep, unwavering understanding. In your own life, you have felt the difference. You have known the sting of being misunderstood, the ache of being overlooked, the frustration of having your intentions questioned, and you have known the relief, the joy, the liberation of being truly seen. When someone takes the time to understand your perspective, to honor your journey, to appreciate your unique gifts, you are transformed. You become more open, more generous, more willing to give your best. This is the essence of influence. It begins with understanding. It begins with the willingness to listen, to ask, to notice. It begins with the humility to admit that you do not have all the answers, that every person you meet has something to teach you. When you approach others with this mindset, your appreciation becomes a bridge, not just to their minds but to their hearts. But understanding is not passive. It is an active choice, a daily discipline. It requires you to set aside your assumptions, your judgments, your need to be right. It asks you to be curious, to seek out the story behind the action, the motive behind the mistake, the dream behind the effort. It invites you to look for the good, even when it is hidden, to name the potential, even when it is unproven. Consider the story of a manager who, instead of criticizing a struggling employee, took the time to ask, "What's challenging you right now? How can I help?" In that moment, the employee felt seen, not as a problem to be fixed, but as a person to be supported. The conversation shifted from blame to possibility, from frustration to hope. The employee, buoyed by understanding, found the courage to try again, to grow, to succeed. This is the quiet power of seeing others. It is the power to unlock potential, to inspire change, to build loyalty that endures. It is the power to influence not by force but by faith. Faith in the goodness of others, faith in their capacity to rise, faith in the possibility of transformation. And as you practice this kind of influence, you will find that your own life is enriched. You will become more patient, more compassionate, more attuned to the needs and dreams of those around you. You will discover that the greatest influence is not wielded, but shared, not imposed, but invited. You will find that your words carry weight, your presence brings comfort, your leadership inspires not fear but freedom. For in the end, to influence is to understand. To understand is to appreciate, and to appreciate is to love. Not with sentimentality, but with the fierce, unwavering commitment to see the best in others, and to call it forth with every word, every gesture, every act of honest and sincere appreciation. There will be moments when the winds of criticism blow cold, when conflict rises like a storm on the horizon. In these moments, it is easy to retreat behind walls of defensiveness, to answer harshness with harshness, to let pride or pain dictate our words. But the true test of character, the true mark of leadership, is not how we act when all is calm, but how we respond when challenged, when our ideas are questioned, our motives doubted, our efforts misunderstood. It is here in the crucible of criticism and conflict that the power of honest and sincere appreciation reveals its greatest strength. For appreciation is not a shield to deflect all hurt, nor a mask to hide our flaws. It is a bridge, a way to reach across the divide, to find common ground, to remind ourselves and others of the good that still exists, even in disagreement. When you are criticized, pause, breathe, listen for the truth that may be hidden beneath the sting of words. Is there something to learn, a perspective you have not considered, a kernel of wisdom wrapped in discomfort? To receive criticism with grace is to honor the courage it takes for another to speak, even if their words are clumsy or their tone is sharp. It is to say, thank you for caring enough to share your thoughts. I appreciate your honesty. In that moment, you disarm defensiveness. You invite dialogue. You transform conflict into connection. And when you must offer criticism, let it be wrapped in appreciation. Begin by naming what is good, what is working, what you value in the other. I admire your dedication. I appreciate your creativity. I respect your willingness to take risks. Then, and only then, offer your feedback, not as a weapon but as a gift. May I share an observation that might help us grow even stronger? In this way, you honor the dignity of the other, you preserve their confidence, you make it safe for them to hear and to change. History is filled with examples of those who mastered this art. Eleanor Roosevelt, often the target of harsh public criticism, responded not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the opportunity to learn, to grow, to serve more wisely. She wrote letters of thanks to her critics, seeking to understand their concerns, to find the truth in their words. Her grace under fire became a beacon, a model for all who would lead with heart. In your own life, you have known the difference. You have felt the sting of criticism delivered without care, the wounds that linger long after the words have faded. And you have felt the healing power of feedback given with appreciation, the way it opens you to growth, the way it strengthens rather than shames. You know that conflict handled with grace can deepen trust, can forge bonds, can lead to breakthroughs that would never have come in the comfort of agreement. But this is not easy. It requires humility to admit that you are not always right, that you have more to learn, that others see what you cannot. It requires courage to speak the truth in love, to risk misunderstanding, to stand in the tension between honesty and kindness. It requires faith, faith that appreciation is not weakness, but strength, that grace is not surrender but power, that every storm, if met with open hands and an open heart, can become a source of growth. So when criticism comes, meet it with gratitude. When conflict arises, answer with appreciation. Let your words be a balm, your presence a refuge, your leadership a light in the storm. For in the end, it is not the absence of conflict that defines us, but the way we move through it, the way we hold fast to what is good, the way we honor the humanity in ourselves and others, the way we transform every challenge into an opportunity to give, to grow, to appreciate. There is a rare kind of person who lingers in our memory long after the conversation ends, not because they dazzled us with their achievements or overwhelmed us with their charisma, but because they made us feel seen, heard, and valued. These are the unforgettable ones. The people who, through their genuine interest and honest appreciation, leave fingerprints on our hearts. To become unforgettable is not to seek the spotlight, but to shine it on others. It is to ask questions that matter, to listen with your whole being, to remember the details that others forget. It is to greet someone by name, to recall their dreams, to notice the small victories that pass unnoticed by the world. When you show genuine interest, you are saying you are important. Your story matters. I care. Dale Carnegie taught that the sweetest sound to any person is their own name, spoken with warmth and respect. But it is more than a name, it is the recognition of a life, a history, a hope. When you remember what matters to someone, when you celebrate their milestones, when you honor their struggles, you become a keeper of their story. You become a safe harbor in a world that is too often indifferent. Think of the mentors who shaped your path, not just with advice but with attention. The friend who remembered your favorite book, the colleague who noticed your effort, the leader who asked about your family. Their interest was not a tactic but a truth. They cared and you felt it. Their praise was not generic, but specific, rooted in real observation, delivered with sincerity. I was moved by the way you handled that challenge. Your kindness made a difference today. I admire your courage in speaking up. These words, simple and true, become anchors in the storms of self-doubt. To give this kind of appreciation, you must be present. You must resist the urge to rush, to multitask, to treat people as means to an end. You must slow down, look up, and engage. Ask, how are you? Really. Listen for the answer beneath the answer. Notice the effort, the growth, the resilience. Celebrate the progress, however small. When you do, you become unforgettable. Not because you demand attention, but because you give it. There is a story of a nurse working long hours in a busy hospital who made it her mission to remember the names and stories of every patient she cared for. She would ask about their families, their fears, their hopes for the future. She would offer words of encouragement, a gentle touch, a listening ear. Years later, patients would return, not to thank her for her medical skill, but for the way she made them feel, valued, respected, loved. Her legacy was not written in charts or awards, but in the hearts she touched. This is the legacy you can create every day, in every interaction. You do not need a title or a platform or a stage. You need only the willingness to care, the courage to notice, the humility to appreciate. When you make it your mission to see the good in others, to name it, to celebrate it, you become a force for connection, a builder of belonging, a leader who is remembered not for what you achieved, but for how you made others feel. And as you practice this art, you will find that your own life is enriched. You will discover the joy of deep relationships, the satisfaction of meaningful work, the peace that comes from knowing you have made a difference. You will become unforgettable, not because you sought to be, but because you chose to see, to honor, to appreciate the humanity in everyone you meet. For in the end, the legacy of genuine interest and lasting praise is not measured in monuments or medals, but in the hearts you touch, the lives you lift, the hope you inspire. It is the quiet, enduring power of honest and sincere appreciation, the gift that makes you and those around you truly unforgettable. Leadership is not a matter of position or power. It is not bestowed by title or enforced by authority. True leadership is the quiet art of encouragement, the daily practice of setting an example that others want to follow. It is the willingness to be a light in the darkness, to lift others when they falter, to believe in them when they cannot yet believe in themselves. The greatest leaders in history have understood this. They have led not by command but by character. They have inspired not by fear but by faith in the potential of those around them, faith in the possibility of growth, faith in the quiet miracle of encouragement. They have known that every word of honest appreciation, every gesture of support, every act of kindness is a seed planted in the soil of another's spirit. Think of the teacher who sees the struggling student, not as a problem to be solved, but as a promise to be fulfilled. With a word of encouragement, a note of praise, a gentle nudge toward possibility, the teacher transforms a life. The student, once weighed down by doubt, begins to rise. They try harder, dream bigger, reach further, not because they fear failure, but because someone believes in them. Or consider the leader who in the midst of crisis remains calm and compassionate. They do not hide the truth or pretend that challenges do not exist. Instead, they acknowledge the struggle, honor the effort, and point to the path forward. I know this is hard. I see how much you're giving. I believe in what we can achieve together. In those words, there is strength. In that example, there is hope. Encouragement is not empty cheerleading. It is not the denial of difficulty or the avoidance of accountability. It is the recognition of effort, the celebration of progress, the affirmation of worth. It is the willingness to see the best in others, even when they cannot see it in themselves. It is the courage to speak life into weary hearts, to offer hope in the face of despair, to remind those around you that they are not alone. But encouragement, to be powerful, must be consistent. It must be woven into the fabric of daily life, not reserved for special occasions or grand achievements. It must be specific, sincere, and timely. I noticed how you handled that challenge with grace. Your creativity brought new energy to our team. The way you supported your colleague made a real difference. These are the words that build trust, that inspire loyalty, that create a culture of excellence. An example is the silent partner of encouragement. It is the way you show up, the way you treat others, the way you respond to adversity. It is the integrity of your actions, the consistency of your values, the authenticity of your presence. People may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. They will remember the way you listened, the way you cared, the way you led. not with force but with love. Leadership by light is not about being perfect, it is about being real. It is about admitting your mistakes, learning from your failures, and inviting others to do the same. It is about creating a space where people feel safe to grow, to risk, to reach for more. It is about modeling the very qualities you wish to see in others: humility, courage, kindness, resilience. As you lead by encouragement and example, you will find that your influence expands, not by demand but by invitation. People will follow you, not because they must, but because they trust you, respect you, believe in you. They will give their best, not out of obligation, but out of inspiration. They will become leaders in their own right, carrying forward the light you have kindled in them. For in the end, the highest influence is not wielded, but given. It is the legacy of encouragement, the power of example, the quiet, enduring strength of honest and sincere appreciation. This is the leadership that changes lives, that transforms communities, that leaves the world better than it was found. It takes courage to appreciate in a world that often rewards cynicism, that prizes criticism as a mark of intelligence, that mistakes detachment for wisdom. To offer honest and sincere appreciation is a radical act. It is to choose light in a world of shadows, to see hope where others see only flaws, to speak life where silence or sarcasm might be easier. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. It is the decision to notice the good, even when it is hidden beneath layers of imperfection. It is the strength to name the effort, the kindness, the growth, even when the world is too busy or too bitter to care. It is the humility to give praise without expectation, to offer encouragement without agenda, to lift others without needing to be lifted in return. There will be days when appreciation feels risky, when you fear that your words will be misunderstood, dismissed, or ignored. There will be moments when the world seems too harsh, too hurried, too hardened to receive your gratitude. But it is precisely in these moments that your appreciation matters most. For every word of honest praise is a spark in the darkness, a reminder that goodness still exists, that kindness still matters, that hope is never wasted. Think of the times when a single word changed your day, your direction, your destiny. The teacher who believed in you when you doubted yourself, the friend who saw your pain and offered comfort, the stranger who noticed your effort and said thank you. These moments are not accidents. They are acts of courage, choices to see and to say what is good, even when it would be easier to remain silent. And so I invite you to be brave, to be the one who notices, who names, who nurtures the good in others, to be the one who chooses appreciation over apathy, encouragement over envy, gratitude over grievance, to be the one who builds bridges, who heals wounds, who lifts spirits with the quiet power of your words. This courage is not loud or showy. It is quiet, steady, persistent. It is the daily decision to look for the light, to speak the truth, to give the gift of appreciation wherever you go. It is the willingness to be vulnerable, to risk rejection, to offer your heart in a world that sometimes forgets how to receive it. But as you practice this courage, you will find that it grows. You will find that your words carry more weight, your presence brings more peace, your leadership inspires more loyalty. You will find that the world, for all its shadows, is still hungry for light, still longing for the kind of recognition that is real, that is rare, that is rooted in love. For in the end, the courage to appreciate is the courage to lead, to connect, to transform. It is the courage to be fully human, to see and to be seen, to give and to receive the gift of honest and sincere appreciation. There is a quiet revolution waiting to unfold in every life. A revolution not of noise or spectacle, but of presence, of kindness, of honest and sincere appreciation. It begins with a single choice: to see the good, to name it, to nurture it. It grows with every word of encouragement, every gesture of gratitude, every moment of recognition that says, you matter, you are seen, you are enough. Imagine a world where appreciation is not rare but routine, where leaders build their teams not with fear but with faith, where families are bound not by obligation but by the daily practice of noticing and naming the love that holds them together, where friends become lifelines, colleagues become collaborators, strangers become neighbors, because someone somewhere chose to give honest and sincere appreciation. This is not a fantasy, it is a possibility, waiting for you to claim it. For every act of appreciation is a ripple in the fabric of the world, a signal that travels farther than you can see, touching lives you may never know, the note of thanks that inspires a new beginning, the word of praise that becomes a turning point, the recognition that awakens a dormant dream. These are the quiet revolutions that change destinies, that heal wounds, that build the future. You do not need permission to begin. You do not need a stage or a spotlight or a script. You need only the willingness to notice, the courage to speak, the humility to give. You need only to remember that every person you meet is carrying a story, a struggle, a hope. You need only to believe that your words matter, that your presence matters, that your appreciation can be the light that guides someone home. And as you walk this path, you will find that you are changed as well. You will see the world with new eyes, attuned to beauty, alive to possibility. You will find meaning in the mundane, joy in the ordinary, connection in the everyday. You will become a beacon, a source of hope, a builder of trust, a leader whose influence endures, not because of what you demand, but because of what you give. This is the legacy of honest and sincere appreciation. It is the legacy of those who choose to lead with their hearts, to rise with their minds, to win with their humanity. It is the legacy of Dale Carnegie, of Lincoln, of Mandela, of every soul who ever dared to believe that kindness is strength, that gratitude is power, that love is the highest form of leadership. So let your life be a quiet revolution. Let your words be seeds of hope, your actions be bridges of trust, your presence be a light in the darkness. Give honest and sincere appreciation, not as a strategy, but as a way of being. For in the end, it is not the applause we receive, but the appreciation we offer, that shapes the world and leaves a legacy that endures. You are the beacon. You are the revolution. Shine on. And so as the echoes of this message settle in your heart, remember, the journey of appreciation is never truly finished. It is a circle. What you give returns, what you notice grows, what you honor endures. Every day you are offered a choice to pass by in silence, or to pause and speak the words that lift, that heal, that inspire. You may never know the full reach of your appreciation. You may never see the lives changed, the burdens lightened, the dreams awakened by your simple act of noticing and naming the good. But trust that it matters. Trust that every honest word, every sincere gesture, every moment of gratitude is a thread in the tapestry of a better world. Let this be your quiet promise to lead with your heart, to rise with your mind, to win with your humanity, to give honest and sincere appreciation, not just as a practice, but as a way of life. For in doing so, you become not only a witness to the beauty in others, but a creator of beauty in the world. The story is not hanging in the air. It is alive, unfolding, waiting for you to write the next chapter. Go then and be the reason someone believes in themselves again. Go and let your appreciation be the gift that keeps returning, again and again in ways you may never fully see, but that will always, always matter. The circle is complete. The gift is yours to give, and the world is waiting. If these teachings have stirred something within you, if Dale's wisdom has found a quiet home in your soul, let it not remain only as words. Let it become the gentle turning of a new page, the first step on a path you choose for yourself. You need not wait for another sunrise to begin. The seeds of change are already in your hands. Plant them now and watch as your life blossoms in ways both subtle and profound. The world shifts with every small act of courage, every honest word, every moment you choose to lead with appreciation. The rest is yours to write. Thank you for walking this journey.